Hello people, Linker here today. To me, this is just incredible. I can't wrap my head around this endgame mistake. So many people don't know this, so let's just dive right into it. Endgame, synergies, HP versus defense. Which should you pick? How it will impact your decisions? Stay tuned and let's get to it. So what is this about? A couple days ago, I asked you, my subscribers, my community, endgame players, which is better at the end game, defense or HP? Now it's a little bit tricky because in the early game, we had ascended tier heroes, they buffed them, so they made their HP and defense stronger so that they can outclass legendary tier heroes. They made Lucius, for example, have very high base HP and defense, so you can outclass Vedan. Now this is relevant for the scaling at chapter 9, but the way it actually impacts the endgame is interesting. And not many people know this. So 1.3k votes split right down the middle. 51% say defense better, 49% say HP is better. So which is true? And how does this impact your decisions? In the past, we did not know much about this, but nowadays many great guides by people like AMB, like JD, shed light onto this, so let's just talk about it. Basically, this long guide says that defense reduces attack by a flat amount. Remember, this is not PR that we're talking, physical resistance or magical resistance. We're talking about defense versus HP. In contrast, campaign scalings have been getting larger and larger. So this guy talks about how essentially we've been fighting enemies at lower and lower deficits, and now it's pivoting higher and higher and higher. So nowadays the meta is just incredible. You see these replays by endgame players, it's just like 1 to 2 hits and every hero can be dead. Because of this, what we see in endgame meta right now is that defense is less relevant than HP. I'll just bring you the answer like it is. Defense allows you to survive many hits in a row. And in old sets where the God comp were used to take many hits, this was useful. But if you'd only take 1 or 2 hits, HP is way more relevant because it's the difference between surviving or not surviving. In the end game, defense is almost completely irrelevant because the way that your defense scales is working against you when the enemy attack scaling is as high as it is. So what we end up seeing is 2 stats that are relatively weak. Both HP and defense are actually not as efficient at making you survive 1 hit, but defense being significantly worse than HP for this role. The stats that actually work include like PR, MR, these are both defensive stats that reduce the incoming damage by 1%. There's also HP itself, which works. And the real stats that shape the endgame we know right now is dodge and immunity. So just like this guide highlights, defense is not very useful, but neither is HP. So in short, HP is better than defense because it will allow you to survive 1 or 2 more hits, whereas increasing defense in high endgame meta deficits is not going to show you any real difference. But both are outclassed by stats like dodge and immunity, and these are what makes tanks really prominent in the current endgame meta. So this is a quick PSA. You can use this in many ways. You can use this to prioritize signature item stats. You can use this to prioritize gear. You can see which furniture do you want to get, like dupes and so on and so forth. You can understand which tree levels you want to do, and you can understand PvP better. This is not like the typical tier list I do. This is not something that you can just follow blindly. This is something that you should understand in upcoming metas to understand what will work and what won't. And in the current settings, we see that stuff that does not scale at all, not HP, not defense, but charms, CC, immunity, these are going to be the kings of new heroes, and this is what you should look for in the new meta that you will see going forward. So this has just been a quick PSA to get everybody up to date on the current meta. I hope you find this useful, I hope you see yourself engaged, and I hope you learned something. Today, I've been Linker. Like, subscribe, and peace.